I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's Tuesday, December 16th. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. DeSico, Heckman, Hopkins,
Here.
Slaughter, here. Stimson,
Here.
Stuckey, here. Willie.
Here. We do not have a work session this evening, so we'll just go ahead and see if I can get a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Do we want to wait for the communication?
Yeah, let's wait and see if,
We're gonna move the agenda around a little, so as we wait for Bob to go. Maybe we'll step into the 2025 budget.
okay, got two resolutions and you'll obviously have to vote on them separately, but I'll just report on both of them at the same time. The reason for the need for the appropriation of additional sums for the general fund as articulated was mostly because of the package that was presented to Michelle on her separation from Blue River, as well as there was only like $5,000 for professional services, and then obviously that cost just a little more than that. So we bumped that number up so that we would be assured. The preliminary numbers were a little more than 100,000. I bumped it up just a little bit more just to make sure that nothing else came up because it looked really pretty tight. With regard to the American Rescue Plan Fund, the reason for that is that money is going to NEO. You guys approved a contract earlier with them to do, do the site review for broadband throughout the river. There was an amendment to their contract earlier on while Michelle was here, which took their price up significantly. And it was going to be more than the American Rescue Fund had available or budgeted. So we went ahead and planned to expend that money, which would be really nice. We would just clear that project money out. Then some of the money in the capital or the broadband fund was already money there. So that's more or less the reason for those two things. Unanticipated at the point in time the budget was done, and we need to get it approved. And I've got to get it in the state of Colorado here soon. So I recommend approval of both of them. But like I say, you'll have to address them separately.
Does anyone have any questions? Would anyone like to make a motion? And each one should be separate.
Approve resolution number 2025-19, a resolution appropriating additional sums of money in the general fund for 2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I'll make a motion that we pass resolution number 2025-20, a resolution appropriating additional sums of money in the American Rescue Plan Fund for the 2025 budget.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, resolutions pass. Would you like me to go back? Bob, we passed over, but if we can go back to the Comcast franchise, I don't know why that was a mouthful, and then maybe we'll go to the public after.
I feel late getting here just so you get that out of the way.
We waited for you.
Well, I appreciate it. For all the pages that are in the packet and the length of the contract, it's easy to say that this is a no-brainer because it kind of is. We currently have Comcast providing cable services throughout the town, and they're doing so under a 4-page basic agreement that says you have the right to use our streets to make private profit. It's about the most basic thing I've ever seen for a franchise. Franchises typically are a lengthy contract approved by ordinance that provides a whole lot of benefit to the community by way of getting the Comcast report all the complaints that they have, what the resolutions were. If there's ever an opportunity for us to do what's called a PEG channel, basically a government access channel like you see in other communities in Summit County where they have a TV channel. We have the right preserve that right for us. That's not the old agreement. That's common in the current franchise agreements that you see. So what you have in your packet is a rather lengthy contract that's almost identical to Keystone and to other communities that are relatively our size, maybe a little larger, that provides all the bells and whistles that you might possibly want to use in the future. I'm not suggesting that everything in that contract is something we're going to want to do, but it's commonplace to have it in case we do it. It doesn't cost us anything to have provisions. In fact, it could be a benefit to us. The best benefit for Blue River perhaps is that they're required now to provide annual reporting to us of every complaint that they had by their customers in the town and how they fixed that complaint. So we know whether or not they're operating to a decent commercial standard. And if we don't like what they're doing in our town, we have under the Comcast franchise the ability to basically have them come in and explain to us why they're not performing and a chance to make the revisions to how they perform. So I'm not saying we ever do. We've been on autopilot with our Comcast franchise and I expect it to stay the same way. If we ever want to do some of these bells and whistles, we'll have the ability, which we do not have today. We're dissatisfied with Comcast. We don't have the ability to tell them that we've talked to them. And they have no obligation to come talk to us. And I'm suggesting that we follow the protocol, the standardized franchise that other communities use like us, adopt this, and 10 years later, we'll come back and talk to you about a renewal. Right now, they're out of time. They have to have a renewal of some sort, and this is what we're recommending.
10 years.
10 years. We've had a 5-year term, but we've blown through it. We never pay attention to it because Comcast is doing fine. Nobody's complaining. So we basically lapsed. And under the law, that lapse continues on monthly basis until we're kind of out of time. This is good for us to adopt now. Something that's been on the agenda for 2025 with Michelle.
Will broadband, if broadband comes to Blue River, will that make a difference? I'm guessing as far as people's.
Different federal laws control broadband versus cable. This is a cable franchise. Very different type of use. If we have broadband and broadband expands into communications, television, cable kind of stuff, we may lose, and it's typical communities to lose Comcast service because everybody's doing streaming and other kinds of
Well, that's
broadband
kind
related
of
stuff.
where I'm going with that is, it would be prudent to go 5 years, or do you think, I guess it'll be a while, so 10 years.
Yeah, wow. I think it'll be at least, I don't have a problem to go with 10, in my opinion, going 10 years because Comcast has performed for us without complaint for quite a while. And I don't expect that they would change it. They're actually going to have to hold themselves to a little higher standard with this franchise than the old one. They've not objected to this because it's been approved in other communities. Like other communities like too. So yes, broadband could shrink, and that's what's happening right now. Comcast is becoming a smaller player providing services. So we don't expect. Can I address the franchise fee issue? Is that possible? I sent them in lots of comments, but this preserves our right to do a franchise fee. Never done one. Most communities do. Federal law allows us to charge up to 5% of their revenue from the customers. Give us 5% for the right to use our right of way. We can use that money for things like fixing streets. We don't impose that today. Almost all other communities do. We don't. We have the option to do it in federal law, and this contract preserves our right to do it if we want to. Comcast can't say no. We decide to do a franchise fee. We need to do the franchise fee and tell them that we've done it, and they'll collect it for us.
And that goes to our citizens, though.
It goes to you, to us, to town, to use on behalf of your city.
But
No,
at least
no,
I think
I mean, the
that-
money is drawn from the customer. Comcast,
That's kind
our
of the way it
citizens.
works. Is that if we do a franchise, Comcast will put on the bill government fee.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's
That's
great.
Right, and that's why it's always a political hotball to play with the issue of franchise fees if you haven't already got them. Because the customers will come forward and say, you're spending a 5% tax. What I want to pay.
And
And they're kind of right, but the money goes to help manage things. And that's it.
so if you do something like that, you better be prepared to answer to the citizens, why do you need the extra money? Because that's their expense. Yeah.
It can be in large communities. 100,000, 110,000 person city that I'm aware of. Ordinance number one. It got incorporated, ordinance number one was to impose a franchise fee. Why? It generated well over $1 million a year. Okay, so it was money for them to operate the community. We're not like that. This community won't draw that kind of money. It won't be substantial. But if you ever wanted to get an extra couple bucks in the bank, you have the right to do it, but you do it after consulting with your citizens. So I leave that to you. But the franchise agreement reserves that right if you want.
I can open this up for public hearing for the Comcast franchise.
Sounds like you're gonna raise our Comcast cable is what I heard.
This is money.
Backwards access.
All right, I will close public hearing. Is there any more discussion? Otherwise, we'll need a motion.
I'll move to approve. This is that ordinance, right?
Mhm.
Ordinance number 2025-10, approving the renewal of the non-exclusive cable television franchise agreement between the town of Blue River and Comcast of Colorado. To provide cable television services within the town and to make reasonable and lawful use of the town's public right of way and public road easements for such purposes.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The next, we're gonna jump now to number 3, which is the 2026 municipal election. Steve, you wanna go?
Yeah, so resolution 2025-21 accomplishes 2 things. Number one, since as we'd already discussed, you're authorizing a mail ballot, and those things are already in the works with regard to talking with printers. We've been talking with regard to all of the municipal clerks in Summit County utilizing the voting machines. I think everybody's still signed up with the exception of Frisco to do that. I think Michelle put those wheels in motion before I got here. I just picked up all of them because at that point in time, I didn't know where we'd be election wise and who was going to do what. So it seemed easier after John and I talked a long time that this would be the best way to do it from county machines. They take some of that burden off our back. The other portion of this is designated an election official. After almost everybody, including good friends, said no, it helped me out. To do the spring election, we finally landed upon Kathy Neal's name and gotten her name from a couple of individuals, including one of the people who told me no. And so she was ready and willing to help, and I applaud her for that. But this resolution is ready to go and recommended for your approval. So, and you need to get it because nominating petitions go out first of the month.
So just the approval, are we looking at just at A or 3A, B, and C in the?
No, the only one that you'll have to do, Barry, would be the resolution 20. The board already gave me, well, you'll make a motion on the intergovernmental agreement, but do the motion on the resolution first.
Is there any discussion or?
I will move to approve resolution 2025-21, authorizing a mail ballot election on April 7th, 2026, and setting forth other details relating thereto. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
So the next one is with regard to the IHA between all of those municipalities. Again, with the exception of Briscoe, to use clear ballot voting equipment. This is an agreement, a master agreement that Brent will sign with clear ballot, but this is the way for us to indicate our participation, agreeing to participate and what the cost would be based on percentage of the voting population, et cetera. And the board had already given me authorization to sign this. I understand that the Breckenridge Council their meeting last week, did sign it, did approve it. And so you can expect to see this contract come before, John and I, we're actually last on the list, but John and I here, maybe this week, for us to sign, but anyway, Rec would really like to have this in place, so they can sign the master agreement before we end the year. 'Cause we're at that point, so basically what you're doing is you're reaffirming my authorization to sign an IGA on behalf of the town.
Steve, did you say that the fee that we pay, I'm guessing a blanket fee that's between all the governments and then you pay for.
It's based on percentage, and for us, if I remember, it's right around $2,000. That will be regardless of whether we have an election or not, because there has to be a contractual commitment.
But that's based on our population, not a.
Or the voting.
It's on page 103. It's 22.75, 7%. Is our Rec pays 13,000, Silverthorne pays 32% at 10,400, Keystone 11% at 35.75, Dillon 10% at 32.50, and us at 7% with 22.75.
Awesome. Okay.
I recommend we authorize the interim town manager to sign the intergovernmental agreement for election services.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Then the last one was just an information, because I believe I have an voting area in this professional services agreement with Gaston Field to act as an election official, based on the terms of the contract. I think it's her intention, and I think it'll work out best, that she'll just add up everything that she does and time it takes her to do things. I've given her a lot of files that she can create the nomination petition packets and stuff like that, but she'll wait until after the election's over and then submit a bill to then town manager at the time for payment, instead of trying to break it up into a few hours in 2025 versus 2026. So I just did that as an information for you guys to understand what I did.
So you've signed this agreement for professional services? Okay.
She's already entered as an assistant administrator. But I didn't want to do it without you guys knowing what's going on.
Next, town's manager search process.
Okay. I did put a handout at each of the places. As I indicated in my email to you last week, a lot of work I still doing prior to this meeting, I'm still not having some reference checks to do. The town board of trustees established a deadline of November 21st for applications. I received 17 inquiries in regard to the position, which I think was extremely good based on all these times I've done this. That's really a pretty good turnout for a community this size. From that, we had 5 applications that were submitted, and then I selected from there 4 semifinalists to interview. And I did those interviews right after I got finished and healed up from COVID, so everything was all right. But Thursday, December 4th, and Friday, December 5th, and then finished up the last one on Monday, December 8th. And based on those interviews, and then I got a chance to do some internet research, which is my best friend, with regard to all of the candidates to see if there was anything hidden that I needed to know. With that, then I'm recommending of the 4 semifinalists that I'm recommending that the board select as finalists 2 individuals. And Joey, if you would go ahead and name those people off, and then the board can decide whether they want to go with that recommendation or do something different.
Our 2 finalists are Chad Hull from Littleton and Jack Stewart from Silverthorne. I guess the other action the board needs to take would be setting up time, correct?
Yeah, let's do this first because they have to name them, but they also have to be approved by the board.
You need a motion?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess I need a motion to approve those two candidates to be part of our finalists.
Well, Steve, that's why we got you on board. So I'll make a motion that we go with Steve's approval or recommendation for our two finalists, Chad Hall and Jack Seward.
Oh, 13.
Is it Seward?
Yeah.
Seward? Seward?
So,
That was my motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes, thanks.
okay, next thing, obviously is need to pick a time and date to do these interviews. That's may or may not be a challenge. I'd offered up to you a different alternative dates. You know, ultimately, the hiring timeline was sometime the week of January the 5th. But I thought, well, you never can tell, especially if we don't know. I think we're going to plan commission on the 6th, because if nothing else, we're going to talk about that code update. But I may have one plan review too. So that Tuesday the 6th of that, and I thought, well, maybe I need to come up with alternate dates, and so I had proposed December 29th and 30th. Jody, however, has let me know that she'll be out of town until the 31st. So that if I go then to the next week, which is what we established, Nick let me know this morning before he went back to bed, that he will be out of town on Monday the 5th and the 6th. So I don't know whether you all want to. I will tell you that both these finalists, as number one indicated, they're still interested. Number two are available to do almost anything. Whether you all want to do Wednesday the 7th or not. I will tell you with two candidates, probably think of the interviews going between an hour and 15 minutes apiece. Take about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit less than that, for you guys to decide where you want to go and give you instructions with regard to how you want to handle that. So if you started at 5 o'clock, you're going to be out of here by 8 that evening. So I don't know what your availability is for the 7th, or if we want to look at doing something the next week, like on Tuesday the 13th. I haven't discussed that with anybody but Jody.
I'm available for the 7th.
So I'm also available.
Yeah.
So am I.
John, you're available, right?
You'll be all right, Ben, with practice?
No practice on Wednesdays.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
You were Tuesday,
We have municipal court on the 7th here in this room.
Oh. On the 7th?
On the 7th.
It must be postponed.
Court. It's really hard to do with defendants. And
Is there a lot of stuff going on that day?
it depends. I mean, as of right now, there's several. Actually, we're going to have a trial on the 7th.
Oh. Okay. What about the next week then on, can't do?
I mean, that much notice, I need to be around Tuesday. I'll be around Tuesday. Next will be the 13th.
Yeah.
13th for everyone?
Yes.
My goal is that obviously that you guys settle on someone, and then we can bring their contract forward at the council meeting on the 20th, and then we'll keep with our time. Yes, excuse me. Want to shoot for January 13th, starting at 5 o'clock in the evening. Yeah. Okay. And I'll let you know if something comes up. I believe that both these individuals could be available. That's all I have now.
That's it, fine.
5 o'clock.
Oh,
Get out of here by 8.
13th, okay.
So I'll be hungry by that.
All right, and we don't have any old business, so if we could just move on to mayor and trustee reports. They have a report. I do not have anything.
On the 20th, I do. Would
Okay,
you like me to
yes,
begin?
please.
On the 20th of November, the Wildfire Council did meet, and it was all about grant approvals. I can't remember how many, but most of them were approved. There were a couple of interesting ones that I didn't know about, but the headlight house, those people are seeking a grant to remove the trees up to where the top switchback of those two switchbacks. So we may see a change in the topography out there. As you know, and have noted, I'm sure, they're burning the piles here in Blue River. I sent texts to everyone. And that's it for Wildfire Council, but I did also last Wednesday attend my first transit board meeting, which was interesting. I didn't have a lot to contribute, but I did meet with Mr. Lubbers. I'm brain gapping on his first name, Chris, I think, who held Ted Pilling in high regard, rest in peace. And I asked him about bus stops. The mayor and I had a brief discussion before I went into this meeting, and you know, the mayor's point was, I can't walk down to the end of Crown and cross the highway and get on a bus. I have to walk all the way down to Wagon Road. That was the example that he gave me. And I know that we've all expressed concerns about renters, you know, on whatever visa it is that they have, but having to walk down the highway for great distances to get to a bus stop. Mr. Lubbers told me that all of that has to be coordinated through CDOT, and that it would cost $2 million to get enough bus stops in the town of Blue River, which I thought was absolutely crazy, because some of these bus stops are marked by a pole and a tire and a rim, you know, it's welded together. And it may have a light on top of it that's solar powered, or it may not, but, and then they have to be plowed. So coordination with CDOT was recommended. I came here and reported that to Officer Brito, who didn't tell the chief, but I also told Steve and B, and let them know when it was still fresh in my mind. But I don't see it as being an easy road to get more bus stops. I think we also expressed concern about no Blue River commuters. Well, there are two. There's 8 buses a day. There's 2 that turn around at Quandary Road. So those would be considered Blue River commuters. And then there's 6 additional buses that go all the way over to Fairplay and then come back. So there are 2 still.
But they don't pick anybody up.
They will pick people
Oh,
up and drop
okay.
people off. Yeah. But otherwise, like if you were to get on the bus going northbound, any of those other 6 buses, you're in for a long ride. You're going all the way to Fairplay, or you're going to walk down the highway to a northbound bus stop and wait for it to come back, which is what I would do. But that's all I managed to find out. But before the next transit board meeting happens, I'm happy to go in there armed with any other questions or concerns or things that we'd like to know. I was a little blind going into this one. I learned a lot. They have their stuff figured out, and I was just learning about it. But I mean, I walked in and they handed me a packet that was relatively thick, and it has lots of wonderful information in there, and none of which is pertinent to the town of Blue River. So I'll leave it out. But that concludes my report. If your questions, input, or whatever.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ted.
Oh, additionally, last night I was invited to attend the Red, White, and Blues strategic planning for 2027 to 2032. So I went for that. And essentially, one of their 2 budget initiatives that they came here and briefed us on last year about passed, and one did not. And so essentially, what they would like is to figure out how to reach the community more effectively, because they need more money to continue providing the level of service that they currently provide going into the future. And so any help that they can get with being able to reach out to the public is appreciated. I made a few suggestions. Other people made some suggestions. I just thought I'd throw it out there. It wasn't I wasn't officially, I introduced myself as a representative of the Board of Trustees because I didn't really know why I got invited, but I went, I did that, and that's what that was about. That was last night. That concludes that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Otherwise, Bob.
No, I do have a report.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise. One, happy holidays, it's coming up, right? But I do have holiday gifts for each of you. Staff. I just have to get out of the car, so don't leave until you get that. And by the way, for the record, it's under the constitutional limit for gifts to governing body members by hand contract.
Go over.
I'll take this.
People other state legislators.
Steve? anything?
Yeah, I gave you my task list, although I'm not proceeding on too many things. I've been concentrating on budgets and planning processes and things like that, but it is up to date. A couple other things. One that Jody is aware of is that the town with Alpine Bank's got $1.2 million sitting in the account or in accounts, which is excessive. And the accountant would like the opportunity to be able to put that money to work for the town. We have a relationship with College Trust. They're currently paying 4.0176%, which is significantly more than the town's making on its accounts. I know what the first thing that some of the bankers say is, well, we've got to do our business locally. The bad thing is that because it's municipal funds, the bank has to collateralize that money one for one, and so they have to basically take it out of circulation. And so there really isn't a whole lot of benefit for them to want us to keep that kind of money. It's not atypical. I can give you many examples for a municipality to keep the bulk of their finances dry as much as they can with College Trust, which that's a pretty good interest rate. It's been a while to see it that high. And then at the point in time that monies are necessary through whether you're paying payroll or doing projects or nothing, then you transfer it back. So you basically have an ongoing wire transfers going on all the time based on the manager's communication with the accountant. And she is now set up to be able to do those transfers. I think she wanted me to ask you all whether you'd be opposed to transferring funds to College Trust and then utilizing the system transfers, and I just explained, but she wanted to make sure you were all right with that.
Do you have experience with it?
Me? Oh, yeah.
So is it a fixed interest rate right now?
No, that'll vary. College Trust varies all the time. The only other alternative that we would have takes a little more time. It depends how economic savvy or financial savvy you are. We could go to the bank and try to ladder CDs, somewhere between 3, 6, 9, 12 months based on where we see the inflow of cash and the need to have money to pay bills. I don't know that even the banks, I think the last renewal that I did personally was still sitting at 3.5%. So I don't know if they can be competitive on a long-term basis. Like I say, I think the pool with College Trust is just the best way to do that. Yield the most that you're going to without having to spend a whole lot of time shopping around. If you're not familiar, municipal governments are really limited with the instruments of finance that they can utilize to generate money from. And of course, the more time you want to put into it, the more money you can get back. But even in Canyon, we were managing $18 million in our investment portfolio. And it just was throw it all in College Trust and see where it shakes out. That's about the best you can. So do I hear anybody? I can answer questions first. But do I hear any opposition to that?
You have experience with it. Doesn't sound like we're going to do better.
No, I don't blame you. No. And then just an update on the 2026 budget. I had hoped to have budget books for you tonight, but I just got tired. The final assessment was given to the town on November 27th, so that was way ahead of the timeline. the final assessment was about $6,000 off the previous assessment that was done on August 25th, so I had to go back and rejigger all of it. Not by much. You're still gonna make fairly roughly to that 5.5% maximum. It's only off by a couple $100 after I got done figuring it out. That paperwork has already been filed with the county treasurer's by December 15th. And then, so I'm working on it right now to get the final documents together to submit and file with the Department of Local Affairs, which actually is not due until January 31st. But I'd like to have, my goal would be done by December 31st. But I've still got to do a budget message. I still have to do attestation and affirmation of the budget and all this sort of stuff. So I've been trying to work through some of those things. So just to let you know, you'll get budget books at some point in time. There's no big surprises that I think will come up, other than I had to go back and change the ending and fund balances because the paperwork that I had been given by the former manager didn't have it accurately represented according to the audit. So I had to change those numbers, but the bottom line doesn't change at all of the goals that we established, or I established for you to do with the budget. They still all maintain, broken and everything, so people get paid for it. So I just thought I'd let you know that. And that's all.
Nothing new to report. This is we're waiting for this. Usually the snow slows us down a little bit, but we're still rolling. This time of year that we start to really look at more administrative stuff, review our policies, and go through that kind of stuff as it gets wintry. But we're still patrolling and doing our thing.
Did you want to give them an update on the body cam though?
We're actually just waiting for an official training from Axon. We do have all the hardware, all the pieces. We've been operating and it's up and running. We just need to officially train with it, and we're expecting to start hopefully early on the new year in January with the switch over. There will be so for some of the body camera that we currently have that is in cloud storage felony cases that we're supposed to hold indefinitely. We will be transferring that into a hard drive from our current vendor, and we're gonna have to pay for that service. So they're gonna transfer all those videos into a hard disk, a hard drive that will keep in evidence for ad infinitum. And then we'll switch over to the other one. So that was kind of a little bit of an expense I didn't foresee happening. Wasn't sure. I thought we'd always kind of just have access to their website to that, but that's not the case. Once our contract ends, we lose access to their website. So we'll just have everything ourselves on site.
What's the cost?
It's like $1,000, between $1,000 and $1,200.
Anything else?
At the end.
Other matters before the board?
Oh, yeah.
I was a few minutes late, I apologize. I was hoping to make a public comment, if you would take it now. I don't know, if that's something. Just wanted to thank you guys, big year, a lot of things happen. So happy holidays to everybody. This is a super thankless job. As you can see, I thought there'd be some people in here maybe talking.
Oh, must be doing
I appreciate the opportunity, so. Dan Cleary for the record, 23 Rustic Terrace. I have not been updating the board. I'm the liaison for both Upper Blue Planning Commission and countywide. It's been extremely light. I didn't make the December countywide meeting. It was really just cleaning up code. They're getting ready for their comprehensive master plan adoption. So each time they find something that conflicts with the new document within their own code, they have to update that section. It's fairly minor. But there's really been no workload there. So I've had nothing to report. Probably starting in the new year, I'll start just sending that at least to say, hey, nothing to report. I did that with the prior manager and kind of let that go by wayside. On another note, I see you got an executive session. Obviously, you can't talk about it here. The wording is interesting. Hopefully it's in regard to what I'm gonna bring up. A resident next to Leap Year Placer, which is like as you come into town, or if we were going into Breck, when you pass the last house before you hit the Tarn, there's a big piece of property there. There's two that are for sale. One is Mr. Splat, and it goes up towards the high ground, and the other belongs to the Theobalds. Rumor has it, and it's just rumor. A resident called me, so let me know about this. I don't know anything. However, we know with the basically the Wilderness Act that happened that affects this property, minus Breckenridge Ski Resort, and the name is escaping me right now, but it's that Campale Wilderness. I think Mohawk Lakes Trailhead is so heavily used. Rumor has it that the town of Breck and the county are looking to purchase that land of the Theobalds. And the concern was, would that become a bus stop? We know that they made a bus stop at Quandary to try to eliminate the people parking up there. And I think a lot of people feel the same. I know those of you, and there's many on this board, live up in the Crown. But, you know, the heavy traffic up there is probably a nightmare. But I think some residents were concerned about what that might look like if it was moved to Highway 9. This is all speculation. I have no idea what's going on behind your closed doors. But if you're unaware of that property, rumor has it that that land will go on sale in February. My guess is the town of Breck and the county are looking to get it. My hope is that the town of Blue River is in on those discussions, right? We eliminated our Open Space and Trails Committee a number of years back to the detriment of the town, in my opinion. I think it's good to have a voice that's active, that's at all these meetings that affect the town when it comes up to open space and trails. So one, you might want to consider reinstituting an Open Space and Trails Committee. Two, if tonight's acquisition discussion is not in relation to this, hopefully this isn't the first time you're hearing about that land, and hopefully you're already talking about trying to get in on that. Whatever that is, we just want to voice at that table, because I hate to see like a bus stop right on Highway 9 that impacts the neighbors there. And, you know, especially if it was like a parking lot, because that might be really difficult. You know, Highway 9 is pretty dangerous as it is. I think there'd be a lot of hoops to go through there, but then again, I don't write the checks. So Town of Breck can do a lot of things with an access control that they were instrumental in creating. But we had a voice at that access control process, if you will. And I think we definitely want to be involved. Again, this is rumor, this is speculation. Don't know what's going on. You know, I'm just a simple caveman. But, you know, if there's something there, we want to be talking about it. So appreciate y'all. Thank you for letting me have a second here at the end. So, and with that, if you're going to executive session, I will adjourn.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. With all the lack of snow thawing and freezing again, the roads, I don't know who's in communication with plow people. Steve, I don't know if they check on the roads and report to you or to John, or do the police look at them, but they're starting to get kind of slick. And it might be one of those things, I just don't know who monitors that as far as starting to see tracks going into the ditches, because it gets pretty dangerous.
Okay.
And I'm basing this on the road that I live on, which is steep, and it gets real slick, but I'm assuming there's some other roads too that are experiencing this, and I just not sure who communicates on that.
Yes, yep. So we're gonna go into executive session. We just need the motion.
I'll move pursuant to section 24-6-402 or B of Colorado revised statutes, and executive session will be called to receive legal advice on questions concerning property transfers and to devise negotiation strategy and instruct negotiators concerning an offer for sale of real property. No action is anticipated following this executive session.
If I could amend, it's B and E, subsections, B and E.
amend that to four B and E.
So we just, oh, I'll second, sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.